This video is to go over an INTJ and how we create our personality in addition to authenticity. It's not authenticity of what we expect from other people, but how authentic we try to present ourselves to others. The definition of authenticity means of undisputed origin or something that's genuine. And it's something that I believe most INTJs just aspire to do or be naturally. However, if you look at the word authenticity and being genuine and an INTJ, doesn't really make sense. INTJs don't really fit the face value of what it means to be authentic. INTJs create different personas during our adolescence as a defense mechanism in order to engage properly with society. And persona in this video means cherry-picking certain personality traits and creating an external facing persona that others can see.
But John, doesn't every personality type do that?
Yes, every single personality type does do that. Every person in the world does that. However, the way that INTJs approach creating persona is completely different from how other types create their persona. Let's take extroverted feeling DOMs, for example. If you have extroverted feeling as your first or second cognitive function, you tend to create a personality that matches the environment that you're in at that moment or the people that you're facing. FE DOMs change their personality to fit other personalities. And the way that INTJs are different from that is that we don't change our persona to meet other people's personalities. We actually change our personas based off of the system that we're in at that moment. And I use the word system instead of surrounding because both of those words in this video means completely different things. For clarity in this video, surrounding means everything that can be sensed or seen in the external world. So people or just things that you can engage with. And my definition for a system in this video means the reason why you're there. Are you in that system to fulfill your social needs? Are you in that systems for academia? Are you in that system to make an income? And etc. There's multiple different systems out there and you have a persona for every single one. And when you're in those systems, you create a persona that you believe to be optimal, factoring everything that you expect to encounter. But even though you create different personas for different systems, they all retain the same ethos and core values. And they're difficult to see from an outside perspective unless the conversation leads to discussing those type of values. And if you're still confused as to what I'm saying, I suggest watching any INFJ, ESFJ YouTube videos. Watch how they explain about how they engage with society. They engage with each person individually and create their persona based off of the feedback that they get. And an ESFJ friend of mine straight up said they don't even know who they are at their core. And it baffles me because he also doesn't care to learn. Very, very non-INTJ. So now that authenticity is defined, it sounds like an oxymoron when you bring up an INTJ. If INTJs create so many different personas to meet so many different systems, are we really authentic? Or are we fake because we have so many different personas? Are we genuinely fake people? Or are we fake genuine people? INTJs don't sound authentic, do we? And even with so many different personas out there, INTJs are very authentic. Let me explain why. At a very young age, INTJs realize that we're not very in tune with our emotions and it's very difficult for us to read the room. We're natural outcasts. And to top it all off, we have anti-introverted feeling in our third cognitive function stack, which makes it very difficult for us to be something that we're not. It's extremely, extremely difficult for an INTJ to be fake for an extended period of time. Regardless of how much we want to fit in, how much we get bullied, or how difficult life is, we know that if we really put effort, that we can act or at least fit into what society wants us. But Auntie won't let us do that. And this next portion is going to be very geeky. It's going to go over cognitive functions. So if you don't know cognitive functions, I'll post a link below to explain what they all mean. So what's an INTJ going to do when they realize, hey, this is where I'm at, this is where I want to be, how do I bridge the gap? Well, let me explain to you exactly what happens. Papa, introverted intuition, notices all the patterns and every single system that you might encounter in your lifetime with all the information that you have at that moment. He looks at every single systems and all the externalities that might be able to affect it and then clearly define set numbers. Once all the systems and the set numbers of personas are defined, it's then given to Mama extroverted thinking. Extroverted thinking creates testing plans in order for you to get the intended results by creating a persona for that system. And the thing about Mama is that she's never fully happy. So you're going to keep testing and keep testing and keep testing because it's all about being optimized. Once the set number of systems are defined and the system for testing has been agreed upon, then it goes to anti-introverted feeling. Anti-introverted feeling picks and chooses different characteristic traits from people that she idolizes in order to develop whatever persona that she wants. And the thing about introverted feeling is that whatever characteristic traits that we decide to include into our persona it still has to maintain the same core values that is us. Again, introverted feeling means we care about certain things very, very deeply that we won't budge on. And once the tests and the personas have been defined, we give it to extroverted sensing, and extroverted sensing does what baby extroverted sensing does well. Go out and have fun with it. Sounds like a lot of work, doesn't it? It's because it is. And if you think I'm overthinking this topic, I want you to go talk to your ESFP friend, because when you ask them how they define their personality, they don't know how they got it. They just feel it, and engages the world as if you can't predict the future. You can at least prepare for it, ESFP. Creating a persona is a tough and grueling process that may take years and years in order for you to develop a persona that you're comfortable with. And personas are constantly evolving with all the new information that you get just living life. And the difficult part of all the testing that I know a lot of INTJs refuse to acknowledge is when you run those type of personality tests or persona testing, and it has to do with introverted feelings. So things that does relate to your core values, because those type of tests feels very personal, and INTJs are just naturally sensitive. To break the process down even further, INTJs chooses personality traits from people or things that they admire. And those personality traits can come from anywhere. It could be from a jolly family member, it could be from a cartoon character, or it could even be from an inanimate object that has some type of human characteristics, like the Giving Tree. To talk about my own personal experience to make this more human, if you grew up in the 90s, you probably seen the show Full House. There's this character by the name of Uncle Joey in that show who I admired since I was a child, because I never had an Uncle Joey in my life. He was always jolly, he was always happy, he was always cracking jokes. Whenever the girls felt down, he was always there to cheer them up. He would listen, but not listen in a way that Uncle Jesse did. Uncle Jesse was actually there to help them sort through their emotions and then feel their emotions. Uncle Joey was there to bring some type of happiness regardless of how morbid life gets for them. And that was the type of personality that I developed when I engage with kids. When I engage with anyone that's younger than me, when I feel like I'm the guardian figure, I'm always going to have that upbeat, like peppy mentality or that persona, because that's what I wanted and that's what I needed when I was younger. And I decided, hey, that's who I'm going to be. Another persona that I created for myself is when I have to give a public speech. One of the things I always admire are comedians. I love comedians. I love the fact that they could take very complex ideas, break it down into very easily digestible little segments, and then everyone in the audience are able to follow along and understand the punchline. They're working magic up there, and what I love the most is they're just using words. So now that I've given you two of my personal examples of the different type of personality traits from different type of aspects or different type of people, now let's talk about how I add those personality traits to develop my own persona. This is where you do all your trial and errors, and this is obviously the most difficult part of creating a persona. The difference between a master and an apprentice is that the master have failed more times than the apprentice have attempted. And if you feel like you have a well-developed persona based off of any type of system, please leave a comment below, because I love to hear how other INTJs approach life and all the different characteristic traits that they've chosen and all the resulting personas. So after I chosen different characteristic traits from Uncle Joey and for different comedians, then it's the testing phase. I actually go out in the world and actually test that personality trait to see whether it feels natural, see how others engage with me, and also to see whether it's personality trait that I could do without feeling exhausted. Sometimes it comes natural, and then there are times where you say or do something and you're 34 years old and you're taking your morning shower and you just remember that moment and you absolutely hate yourself because you cringe based off of something you said or did that you wish you never did. And I keep having to tell myself it's okay because it was part of the testing process and it was necessary. So you test and you test and you test and you test and you test until it eventually becomes natural to you. And eventually once you're done, that persona becomes you. It's not necessarily fake it until you make it. It's actually just a lot of testing. It has always been you the entire time. So now let's get back to the original question. Because we have so many different personas in so many different systems, are we authentic? Is that really us? And the answer is always the same throughout this video. The answer is still yes. Because while we were in the character customization portion of our life, we pick and chose different personality traits that aligned with our core values. And one of the biggest, if not the biggest, key learnings that we realized is how much effort it takes in order to become someone that we're not. A little off topic, but I think this is the reason why we're blunt. It's because it's easier to tell people the truth and have them upset at us than to keep up a lie. It's easier to deal with short-term consequences than it is to continuously lie to someone over and over again. So we are authentic regardless of whatever persona that we are. It's just certain personality traits that we decide to exaggerate within that system. So whatever persona that you have representing yourself in a certain system, you decided that that's the best representation of yourself. But even though you believe that you're putting your best foot forward to represent who you truly are within those systems, there's going to be people out there that believe that you're fake because they're just not used to that. Before I go into the next section, I do want to preface that I don't believe any personality type is superior or inferior to another type. Every single type has their own strengths and weaknesses. So just because INTJs view world in a completely different way from another type doesn't mean that we're correct in the way we approach life, because there are multiple different ways to approach life. And if you're one of those people who justify being rude to people because you're an INTJ, this is me calling out on your bullshit. You're just a fucking douchebag. It has nothing to do with you being an INTJ. The Myers-Briggs types that leads with introverted sensing tends to be the type that questions your authenticity. Those are the ESFJs, ESTJs, ISFJ, and ISTJs. And the definition of introverted sensing is someone who takes present facts and compares it with their past experience. And those people trust the past. So if you engage someone with SI in their first or second function, then they're also going to be comparing your personality to what they've experienced. And the INTJ is continuously trying to optimize and improve her personality. Do you guys see the conundrum there? So to a person with introverted sensing, we may come off as fake because we engage them different from how we engage someone else, or if we engage them in one system compared to if we engage them in a different system. They get confused because SI tends to be so set in their ways that it doesn't make sense for a person to want to change. And for INTJs with NI and TE, we are constantly trying to change. So for them, someone who's constantly trying to improve or change their personality, it sounds ludicrous. Ludicrous to the point where they won't even believe us if we tell them directly, hey, this is why I'm doing this. And when one party confronts the other on this topic, there seems to be a misunderstanding. The SI type believes that the INTJs are putting up an act, or we're trying to be edgy, or for some reason we're acting some way where that we're not supposed to be acting. And the INTJ gets frustrated because we feel like we're bringing our true selves to them. And whenever we explain to them why we're trying to change, they take it as a joke. So they're laughing at all the struggles and all the effort that we put in order to become the person that we're presenting to them. It fucking hurts. And simple comments from those people can be devastating. Something as simple as, oh, you've never been like that before, or you never cared about that before. Yes, Grace, I have been like that. Yes, Grace, I have cared about that before. It hurts me just as much that you've actually never cared to realize or cared to listen that that is something that I care about. Then on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have our NI sisters, the INFJs, ENFJs, and the ENTJs. With these types, you just have to explain yourself once and they're going to accept it. They might not agree with the way that you're approaching it, or they might not agree with it at all, but they have the capacity to understand, and they're just going to let you do your own thing. So to summarize this entire video into one sentence, INTJs develop different personas for different systems that we expect to be in, that have very exaggerated personality traits, but all shares the same core values. So even though you feel like you're seeing a different person, it's still us. If you ask us about things that we care about, you're going to get consistently the same answers. INTJs are authentic. Thanks everyone for watching my video. I just reached 400 subscribers this morning. It's amazing. We're growing really fast. Again, please like this video and leave a comment if you think this is helpful. I love any type of discussions. Some people are leaving comments on the type of videos that they want to watch, and I'm writing it down. I intend to start talking about other Myers-Briggs types beginning next year, but I do want to focus on INTJs because I want to help develop this community. Thanks again everyone for watching my video. Bye.